Hi, so today I shall be making a video that is going to be me talking about this movie that I've seen called Mamaboy. But also, while talking about this movie, I shall be taking these braids out of my hair because I can't be bothered to leave them in anymore, but whatever, so let's just get right into it. I don't really call it a review, but I mean, okay, so anyways, this movie is just like, where I'm just like, who allowed this to be made on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's not even really that bad. And I'm like, the thing is, the movie was released on April 1st, so I don't know if that means that the entire movie is supposed to be a joke, but I mean, they're taking this movie pretty seriously. I don't know if that was just ironically. It has a 0% rating on anything that I've looked it up on, so yeah. But anyways, so the movie is not what you would think, because when it says that title, you would think maybe it's about some boy who loves his mom too much or something like that, or like something, I don't know. But it was rated PG-13, and I'm like, how bad can a PG-13 movie be, you know what I mean? And then I started watching it, and I'm like, this movie, I won't, like, if you were on, like, in any fan, whatevers back in the days, I don't really want to say fandoms, but I guess you can call them that, then you'll know that the hideous fan fictions that were written went to cringeworthy levels. Now, there's, like, archive fan fiction, which wasn't that bad, because it was, like, the classier fan fictions, we'll say. Then you had Wattpad, which was hideous. I mean, it wasn't as cringy as it gets, but it was about as cringe could be. And then you had your Tumblr one-shots, the absolute cringiest of the cringe, which is where this movie obviously came from. But anyways, let's get right into it. So, when the movie is first starting, we see this girl and this boy, and him and her are like at a church because her dad is the preacher.
Yeah, well, if you think that's romantic, check this out.
Kelly,
Open.
it's beautiful.
And I'm like, why do movies keep doing that thing where they're like, oh, she's a preacher's daughter, she's so pure, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, do people realize that the preacher's daughter is usually like the biggest skank because of the fact that her dad is a preacher's daughter? But anyways, that lets you kind of know where this movie is going. They're doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, whatever. So then they go back to school a few days later, or the next day, something like that. And, well, actually on the day they go back to school, we see this man, and he has like this little rat that he's following around. And that turns out to be the boy's uncle. Now, the girl is from, she used to be on Ant Farm, and she played the cheerleader, and I was like, my God, have the Disney checks dried out. But I said, why is it that now she looks like one of the twins from Bratz? Like, that's not even a bad thing, but like, if they did a live action version of Bratz again, I'm like, she could play one of them for sure. Like, oh my gosh.
You see, I lost my way.
I can do that. I've got rhythm.
Anyway, we're continuing along. So they go, eventually he goes to the school auditorium, whatever. He does a song because he's like a singer, I guess. And I'm like, Now the thing is, I won't stomp on the soundtrack too much because most of the songs are actually 12 out of 10. These are good quality songs to be in such a hideous movie. But anyways, so they go to school. We find out he has like a best friend. His best friend is not that bad. This movie, I said, is one movie where actually I like mostly all of the characters, and that's really hard for me because I usually don't like a lot of the characters, but yeah. So anyways, they go to school, and all this stuff happens, and his girlfriend comes to him, and she's like, she's gonna have a baby. And he's like, oh, 111, and it's like, I'll love you forever, nobody cares, it's fine, we can have a baby, we can raise a baby. And I'm like, what? So I'm just like, okay, cringe teenage parenting. Like, who actually does this? Like, I know there's actual teenage parents out in the world, but I don't know. Like, I just look at it from like my perspective, which is like, why would you be doing all that at that age anyways? I mean, I just don't understand people who do that. Like, what? Because I mean, I never did anything like that. Not that I had anybody to do anything with, but that's not the point. And I said, is this a public school problem, teenage parents? Because if anybody went to like online school or homeschool and they're also like a teenage parent, let me know, because I don't know how that happens. I don't understand. Maybe just different type of people. I just think it's cringy, and I don't understand why anybody would do that at that age. But yeah, anyways. So he's like, okay, whatever, I'll figure it out. We'll figure out something. And she's like, no, my dad is gonna hate me, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, it'll be fine.
Everybody makes mistakes. I promise I will come up with something.
Really?
I've always wanted to be your knight in shining armor. Just give me a chance.
So he tries to find a solution to their problem. So he talks to his friend, and then his uncle shows up one day. I forget how this happens, but eventually he talks to his uncle, and his uncle has this pet monkey. And he's like, I did like a thing so that the monkey could have a baby. And they're like, but the monkey is a boy. And he's like, I know, but I managed to do this procedure. And they were like, oh my gosh, can it work on humans? And he was like, possibly. And so that's when the plot of this movie kicks off. So that's where the cringeworthy fan fiction part comes in. But the only thing is, this is like if those cringy fan fictions were like straight fan fictions instead of like a gay fan fiction, which those fans always write. But anyways, so eventually his uncle basically does whatever so that he can have a baby instead of his girlfriend.
Look who's back. How you doing?
Lisa.
Oh no, Lisa's doing fine. Yeah, the procedure went perfectly, and now we just have to wait. So you get some rest.
So he performs this procedure, and now he can have a baby. So him and his friend are in school, and he's like, this is not even that bad. Oh my god. People act like it's worse than it is, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I don't really feel any different.
Take it from me, you are, in a family way.
Yeah. This is a breeze. I mean, to think, women have complained about this for centuries now.
But of course, once you act like something is worse than it is, then all these dramatics have to occur. So then him and his friend go home, and his friend is like, you're gonna have a baby, I know it 1000%. And he's like, you don't know that. And his friend is like, yes, I do. That's his loud voice. There's like the loudest noise outside. See, ew, crust. I'm leaving these braids in for like a week, maybe 2. I don't know how long they're in, like a week or 2. I just don't like leaving them in that long. Hair. So yeah, anyways, he's like, you're having a baby 1000%, come here so we can practice. So they practice all the stupid stuff that they found in the baby book. And his little brother runs in there and is like, my eyes are bleeding, what on earth are you guys doing? Because it looks like they're doing something else, but that's not what they're doing. So eventually his friend runs in there, I mean his brother, and they're like, leave. And he has to go check the test, and it's like 111, it's positive, so he's gonna have a baby. And they were like, how are you gonna hide this from everybody else? And he was like, it's not that hard to hide 10 pounds. And I'm like, what backwards book did this movie get its people having a baby ideas from? Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure people have more than 10 pounds when they have a baby. But so anyways, that ends up being like one of the main jokes in this movie. He's like, it was only supposed to be 10 pounds. Why am I so fat? 111. And he has a baby. Not yet. But I mean, he continues on in daily school life, but it's harder than he thought it would be. And eventually everybody starts being like, ew, you have issues, and starts avoiding him. So he gets all sad and all depressed, and he's like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that.
I don't know if I can continue on.
Hey, cheer up, guy. It's always darkest before the dawn.
So one day, his girlfriend calls him after avoiding him for 400 years. because I think they broke up like some point in between. I forgot to mention that Gary Busey is also in this movie for some reason. But anyways, so him and his girlfriend break up with each other, but one day eventually she calls him like 500 months later, and she's like, I want my baby back. And I'm like, what? So she's like, no, tell them to take the baby out of you and give it back to me. And I'm like, what? So anyways, basically he's like, no, they're already 8.5 months along. You can't just take the babies out and give them back to her. And she's like, I want them back because you have issues and you're disturbing and you did this and you did that. And then he goes on this whole sob story speech about how they're his babies and he's never giving them back and he's not going to do this and he's not going to do that. I just spoiled the ending by mistake, but anyways. So he's like, he's not going to do this, he's not going to do that, he's not going to give her back the baby. And she's like, well then, you're raggedy, you're this, you're that. And then she just basically rips off the little necklace he gave her in the beginning and leaves him and runs away.
Take you to the Supreme Court. I'll sue for maternity, paternity, custody, and lustody.
You've lost it big time.
Every night, I lay in bed and my legs cramp like burnt pretzels. My back feels like a linebacker hit me, and my feet hurt so bad, I'd rather walk over hot coals. And what do I get in reward for all my pain and suffering? I get to throw up every night into the...
So eventually they go to prom. I forget how, but they go to prom. And he sings a song because his band also kicked him out of his band because I don't know if I mentioned that he had a band, but he had a band. And they play like the most generic indie songs ever, but anyways, so his band kicks him out and he's like, I know you guys hate me, but it's prom, can I at least perform? And he's like, fine. So they perform, blah, 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 blah. Then he goes back, basically back to like where the lockers and stuff are at the front of the school. And the school bully, not bully, but this one girl who is supposed to be, I guess, like the popular girl, not really popular, but the girl that gets to be with all the boys at the school. She decides to try and kiss him and do all this stuff. But her boyfriend is like the school bully slash the football whatever. He's like, get away from my girlfriend. And he goes and is about to fight him. And I don't know if I mentioned that he had a best friend, but the boy has a best friend. I think the boy's name is Kelly and his friend's name is Ditto. So, yeah. And the school bully comes eventually and is about to beat him up. And his friend is like, no, stop, you can't do that, you can't do that. And everybody's like, why, what's wrong? Why can't he beat him up? And he's like, because, but then they realize that they can't really say why. And then this one boy that's like the school newspaper expose writer runs in there and is like, you can't do that because he's having a baby. And so basically he gets exposed and it's like, oh my god, this is hideous, 111, this is so horrible.
Ditto!
He's what? He is pregnant!
Yeah, right. Kelly Hankins is gonna have a baby.
And I forget what happens. I don't think he runs away, but I think he goes home. And basically it's a day of school graduation. And his parents are like, come on, let's go to graduation. He's like, I don't want to go. This is horrible. Everybody's judging me, blah, 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 blah. And his dad is like, no, your uncle told me what he did and what happened and was like, you're special and we're never going to judge you, blah, 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 blah. And I said, the problem is this movie actually has some really good moments in it. Like, it has some quality parenting content and such. But if it was in such a hideous concept that nobody would watch, then it would have actually made, like, somebody would have actually watched it. I'm pretty sure I'm probably the only person, like, what? I'm pretty sure nobody even watched this movie, but anyways.
Look, we don't have all the answers, son, but I do know this. God, he has a plan and a purpose for you. And no matter what you go through in life, you need not be afraid, because all things work together for good. God's got your back, so do I.
So, yeah. So eventually, his parents convince him to go to the graduation because he's the school valedictorian. And he goes and does his speech. But while he's doing his speech, all this stuff starts happening to him. Like, he's gonna have his babies. And so then he falls on the floor, blah, blah, blah. All these dramatics happen. And his uncle is like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Because the monkey it died because, duh, boys are not supposed to have babies. And the reason is, I was like, my thing is, like, I didn't have a problem with the concept of the movie, but I said this from the beginning. My thing was like, how is the baby supposed to come out? Because I mean, I don't see any openings from which a baby could fall out. I was like, do boys even have any openings from which a baby could fall out? Because I don't think they do. So eventually the monkey died. And his uncle was like, I have to tell you something. I'm a horrible experimenting person, and the monkey died, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, well, I still don't want to get rid of the babies. Or the baby, whatever. So eventually, I'm like, how did I know they were going to skip over how they had the baby? Because at the end, they just show him in the hospital, and his girlfriend is there. And she's like, are you okay? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yes, life is fine. But then he's like, where's the baby? Where's my baby? So she brings him his baby. And he's like, aw, yay. It's not hideous and it's cute, whatever. And she's like, it's a boy. But then she goes to another little section and she gets another baby. And she's like, and a girl. And he's like, what? Because he didn't realize he had twins.
Congratulations, Mom. It's a boy.
Boy. It's perfect.
This one's a girl.
A girl?
And I'm like, every movie ever with the haha, you had twins. And I'm like, what kind of movie is this? Why was this movie allowed to be made? But anyways, this movie lets me know that I can do my filmmaking because obviously my ideas are not that bad. So yeah, so here's the thing. That's basically it, by the way, of me talking about this movie. But here's the thing. I'm the type of person, I love movies that most people would consider absolute garbage. Like, this movie is swimming in the bottom of the garbage can. Trash. Absolute, like, 0 out of 0. 0 points because no effort was made in making of this film. But I like it. And, like, for me, I give this movie a solid 4.5 stars because it wasn't even that bad. Like, really? It wasn't even as cringy as you would think. So yeah. So basically that is my review / my opinion of this movie. So I thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.